Hi students, today we're having a look at once again a very important part of your project management plan, which is your project closeout. Let's have a look at a little bit of an overview. So the project closure phase, this is the final phase where the project is formally, that is your highlight word, formally closed, and success is reported to the sponsor. That is how you want to close your project. It is all in this one sentence. You want to make sure that it is official, that everyone on your team knows that it is official, that accounts are closed, that any running monetary accounts are closed, and that it is a success. And you can tell the sponsor with pleasure the project is finished. Your closure activities, this is where you hand over the deliverables, you transfer documentation that needs to be transferred, hand it over to the sponsors, to the stakeholders, to any accounts, like I said, that should be closed. You need to cancel contract, or if you've planned in such a way that you know at the end of a certain period the contract will automatically close out, you just want to formalize that and make sure that everyone knows this is the case. You also release your resources and inform the stakeholders. So you say, right, this is it, we're clearing up, we're shipping out, everyone knows it is closed. The post-implementation review, you assess project success and identify lessons learned. So once again, this is a data collecting process, and you say, this is what happened, this is how it happened, this is what went well, this is what we needed to change in the future, this is what we have learned. The stakeholder acceptance, you ensure stakeholders agree that the project quality meets agreed specifications. You can't just go to the sponsors and stakeholders and say, right, it's done, I'm done, but the project is not done. Okay, so the quality standards need to be met at this point, and you know our motto on that. Documentation, use clear objective criteria for performance as outlined in the project management plan. So you want to go through all of the criteria that was set out at the onset of your plan, and you say, right, this is according to the project charter, this is what we were supposed to have done, and this is what we did. We have met the criteria, even if we had to put contingency plans in place. Then the final consideration, this is where you address documentation, the drawings, if it was perhaps architectural, or you needed draftsman drawings of some nature. The final reports, remember you are reporting all throughout your project, and now at the end of the project you've got your final report to say this is what happened and we are done. Your financial updates, my apologies, I've skipped a little bit. So you also want to have a look at the training, the audits, the risk updates, the invoices, equipment returns, the warranties, and the financial updates, as well as the lessons learned. So you're looking at the entire project that was run like a little business, really. Some projects are that large that they are run as a little business because you've got invoicing involved. You've got finances that you need to make sure are in place. They need to match what the company has set out in the very beginning. They need to be in line with your contingency reserves as well. And then you close it off and you say, right, this is done. We have made sure everything, every number is in order. Every plan is in order. All of the checks on the list have been completed. Now, the importance and benefits of project close out, other than the fact that you are done with the project and you have executed to excellence, the confirmation of objectives being met ensures all project goals and requirements have been achieved and validated by the stakeholders involved. So, of course, you might run into, and very frequently you run into difficult clients and difficult stakeholders, and they might need changes, and they might say there are extra snags involved that they would like to have changed. And then once that is done, you can go ahead and tick it off the criteria list. The sense of closure, I just want to also make mention that when you do get difficult clients, because it does happen very frequently, you make sure that your plan right from the onset is to deviate from any sort of stakeholder displeasure. You want to make sure that your plan does not run into any hiccups in the future. Of course, you need to do this based on your own limitations again, as mentioned, but you want to make sure that what you are able to provide also is in line with what the stakeholders want. And if you do that, you just need to make sure then throughout the process you execute constantly at every phase. You need to have the sense of closure. So this provides a formal end to the project, giving the team and stakeholders a clear conclusion in writing. It is all on paper. Improving future engagement identifies lessons learned to enhance processes and performance in future project, which we have mentioned multiple times. Then you capture your knowledge. So that when we say capturing, this is not an intangible process. You capture it physically, you put it on paper. So the documents, insights, and experiences gained during the project for future reference and learning. It is your resume. This is your project management resume. My apologies, tying up loose ends. So you resolve any remaining issues, as we've mentioned, your snags. So you go through them. They'll say, right, this is not in order. There might be a list of things that just need to get done. Sometimes major, but hopefully not. More often than not, minor. Rewarding the team. And my apologies, just a note again. When you're tying up loose ends, throughout your process, you need to ensure that there are no major loose ends. So, yes, sometimes, as mentioned, there might be major ones, but your aim is to ensure that that is not the case when you are at the end of your project. Rewarding the team is very important. Think about how you feel and how you have felt previously as an employee. And now, if you are a leader and you've been put in a leadership position to manage a project, this is what you're studying towards at the moment, you want to make sure that you remember that each employee is different, every team member is different, but as an employee, you want to be recognized for your efforts. It does not need to be in a flashy way. I had a team member in the past who was very reserved. So what I would do is when she's done well, I would just put a little chocolate secretly in a locker or in on her desk, just with a note. Now I know that not everyone works that way, but this is just a principle that I'm trying to illustrate, is that you can secretly speak to someone in private just to say, hey man, you did well, here's a pat on the back. It does not always have to be a public, grandiose acknowledgement. So this will definitely boost the team's successes and morale and motivation because they'll want to work with you. Accepted deliverables, the project management plan. So this documents the project lifecycle, provides guidelines for phase closure, including criteria for acceptance. We have been through each of these elements by now, so when we use the jargon, the project management jargon, you'll know this is what we mean when we are explaining a topic like the project management plan, because we've been through what it entails. Organizational process assets. So this includes guidelines for phase and project closure, such as performance review. You evaluate the phase performance, risks, issues, and corrective actions that had to be taken. If there was a labor-related issue, a human resource-related issue, you want to note that and make sure that that changes in the future. Project management plan updates ensures all plan elements are correct and current and accurate at the end of each phase. Project document updates. You update the documents based on phase outcomes. So, again, what was meant to happen and what you've actually done. And it prepares you for the next phase or iteration. Then the lessons learned. Document and integrate lessons learned to improve future phases and avoid repeating mistakes. Again, document it, write it down, keep it, archive it. So once you're done with the project, you want to archive all of the documents involved. You put it in a lovely big file and you put it away. You label it well, you put it away. You know, this is what you've done previously. This is what ought to be done in the future. And this is a very tedious process, I know. So even if you hire administrative staff to handle it, but you still want to ensure that what is being done is done correctly. So you can't get an admin lady to observe, to monitor for you, to control for you, to decide what change requests must be put in. This is just the person handling the paperwork, filing for you, ensuring all the invoices are as they ought to be. But you still need to review all of that work because it is your project at the end of the day. So while it is tedious, it is highly necessary. Tools and techniques for project closeout. Project Closeout Checklist is a list of tasks which align with the project management plan to ensure that all initial and change objectives are met. Changed objectives are met. The final deliverables review. So you verify the quality and quantity of all deliverables were met according to agreed upon standards. Is it what it should be? Is it in the quantity it should be? Are we happy with the quality? Or are we just settling? You never want your client to say, you know what, fine, it will do. Unless, of course, it's one of those who are never happy. But even in that sense, you ensure that you have done everything possible to ensure that the highest possible quality is met in every project. That when you walk away from it, you know you have done your job. Lessons learned, documentation, as we've already mentioned, analyze and group overview data, your performance reporting. Once again, you've already done this throughout the process, and now you just do it once again at the end. You summarize what's been done, you file it, and you close your project. So this is your project closure. It is also known as the project closeout. This is where you are a happy person at the end of this project and you know that everything is done as it ought to be. If you have any questions or queries, you know where to find me.